I came here is really, it was one of the first times in my professional career of 20 years that I did backflips again. I went to a meeting in one of the first days that I was hired as a contract employee at first, or contractor, independent contractor. But I went to a committee meeting. It was called Missouri Reentry, and there were people from parole and probation, from various treatment organizations. There were people from churches. There were people from Catholic Charities. There were people from, Chris Wade had the Justice Project that worked with women that were sex slaves. And before we started the meeting, somebody prayed. I'd never been in a meeting, public meeting in Michigan where I was from, where we could even say God in public, it felt like. And here, there was it was on the table. And I don't happen to be Catholic. I work for Catholic Charities, but I can say this about Catholic Charities: they truly walk the walk and talk the talk about the commitment to the most vulnerable people in their areas. So I've always been very pleased to work with this as a nonprofit. But what I saw was just this multi-dimensional approach to the same societal issue, and it felt like I lived in community. I didn't live in isolation. I wasn't just this little part over here that did this, and I guess maybe that's something that happened inside of me before I could see it outside in my reality. But I'm not suggesting I don't miss practicing law, but I did take seriously the admonition about not fighting anyone or anything anymore, and that's a principle of recovery, and that goes deeper than in the courtroom. You know, it really does. I lived as a trial attorney with profound experiences, and some of them were very painful. And I couldn't reconcile sometimes at the end of the day whether I was really being effective and whether my client was better off because of what we had done. That, I guess, short answer would be some injuries are not redressed very well in an adversarial system. When I came to turnaround, I had experienced hopelessness. I had, when I walked away from my life, which is literally what I did, it was rather dramatic but necessary for me. I knew what being looked at as homeless felt like. I also knew what it felt like to be hopeless. I also could appreciate what it felt like to feel shame and to do something that society would have stigmatized one for. So I think I was probably a natural for the emotional part of the connection, to help create a space where somebody can really come alive and be who they really are, maybe for the first time. I'll never forget, Sister Rose told me, you know, most of the people that we work with, that she had worked with, had never had a healthy relationship in their life. It's a pretty staggering thought. And so that's what brought me here, and then I began to do the work, and you know, there's some things that just aren't work, and that's what I feel about this. The prison system that we know in Missouri is really responsive to reentry. I don't have to even bemoan the abysmal statistics about warehousing people for nonviolent crimes when their needs aren't met, and then they come out in a worse condition. I mean, you can do the math, you can do it. It doesn't take rocket science. But what we're trying to do is raise the consciousness, person by person, of our communities to recognize that by a restoration of a person to themselves, to their community, is actually more effective in dealing with crime, is a cheaper solution than $16,000 a year in prison. I mean, it costs about less than $4 a day for somebody to be on supervision. In 2008, 1 out of 36 people were on supervision. 1 out of 36. Pretty sad statistic about our society. what Donna described about a 30-day treatment, or excuse me, a 30-day stay in jail, we believe we have seen, we've experienced, we're not clinicians, although some of the people are MSWs. People come out with post-traumatic stress and shock. I've been dealing with a mentor program, and all the mentors that we recruit are volunteers from the community, and the synergy in a room when people come together and tell why they're there is really pretty profound. But I can tell you that of the people that have had someone to work with over a year, we ask them to make a year commitment. We're just scratching the surface of getting to real disclosure and trust. So it wouldn't be honest for me to say this is like a great panacea for, people that have had emotional trauma in their life and are coming out of prison. It takes time and commitment. What I can tell you is it absolutely does work. Friendship is born when one says, I thought I was the only one that did that. It's the break of that defensive separation because I am a bad person. However that magic happens, but it does. It continues to. So we happily spend the Department of Corrections money in ways that we think are much more productive for people to reach sufficiency. Emergency assistance has been in the form of medical bills, transportation, bus tickets, counseling sessions. I don't pay fines or costs, but rent. And we coordinate with a lot of other supportive systems. So we probably didn't come up with the idea necessarily, and I can say that reentry is the wave of the future because it is a less costly and more humane solution for certain. Of course, everybody going in that is on parole is coming out. The question is, how do you want to treat the human being that's coming out? Convincing folks that we are human is part of what we do, and that's why I'm really grateful that Donna's willing to come and share her story.